Bonjour tout le monde. Merci tout le monde qui est à l'écoute. Les remercier SBC avec TéléCCL qui l'a aujourd'hui pour amener sa bonne hearing qui nous peut faire pour le public CCL en général. Je remercie tout. Je l'ai aussi dit avec le public qui il plie bien si les autres suivent ce qui est arrivé en direct au lieu dépendre les médias sociaux qui pas tout le temps correct ce qu'ils ont dit ou ce qu'ils ont rapporté. Il plie bon qu'ils autres même personnellement les autres viennent en public ici, viennent écouter dans la cour ou bien suivre ce qu'ils ont faire online, l'OSBC avec les autres médias qui sont présents. Merci beaucoup. Aujourd'hui, on a plusieurs témoins. Nous avons témoins sortis côté ministre de l'Environnement. Nous avons 10 monde sortis côté IDC. Et après, nous prenons 10 monde sortis côté Friends of Aldabra. Ça, nous avons témoins pour aujourd'hui. OK? So, pour ne pas tarder, on peut commencer avec le premier témoin, Madame Law. So we will now switch to English for the transcription purpose. I welcome you, Mrs. Law. So if you could, for the record, state your name and your profession and where you are working at the moment.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nanette Law. I'm currently the Principal Secretary for the Department of Environment and Natural Resources from the Ministry of Environment, Energy, Climate and Natural Resources. I was previously the Director General for the Waste Enforcement and Permit within the same ministry.
How long have you been working for the ministry?
Since 2006. I've been
Thank you.
working with them.
What is your expertise in terms of environmental issues, procedures, and protocols?
I've done my bachelor's degree in urban and regional planning, where I did my thesis on integrated coastal zone management, and I also did environmental planning during my studies. And I also have a Master of Science in Project Management, again concentrated in environmental projects. And also I've done a postgraduate certificate in coastal zone management.
Thank you. Could I halt for a minute? Just checking to see if the transcriptions are working. Okay. Just bear with us. We're just fixing the transcription service. A bit closer. Thank you, Principal Secretary. Again, our apologies. We're going to have technical problems now and then. Can you tell us, in your work in the Environment Department, do you have occasion to comment on planning applications that come to the Planning Authority?
Yes, on a daily basis, we do comment on planning applications. In fact, we have one section, which is the Environment Assessment and Permit section.
Could you talk a little louder?
The Environment Assessment and Permit section Their main duties and responsibilities is to carry out environment impact assessment and also to comment on planning applications.
Thank you.
So we do receive planning applications on a daily basis from the Planning Authority, and we do carry out assessments. This is for the Class 2 applications, and we do receive larger scale developments in terms of proposals, where Class 1 EIAs are also conducted, and we administer the process.
Okay, for the benefit of the this inquiry, could you tell us what a Class A development is?
Yeah. As per the Environment Protection Act, there are two classes of EIAs. There's a Class 1 EIA, which under the law, this relates to developments which are in Schedule 1 of the EIA regulation, and also development which are going to be located in sensitive or protected areas. And then there are those developments that we may be considered by the ministry to undergo an EIA Class 1. And we have the Class 2. These are smaller scale developments which our staff do assess.
Thank you. And is the Environment Department represented in any way on the Planning Board?
Yes, the ministry is represented on the planning board, as well as on other technical committees of the Planning Authority, such as subcommittee, and also on the Minor Works Committee.
So I'd be correct to say that for planning purposes, there is now a streamlined process where the environment is involved from the inception.
Yes.
Thank you. I now want you to talk me through a normal process. Say I'm a foreign investor and I want to make a development in Seychelles. What would be the first step for me, Matilda Toumi? I'm living in, let's say, the UK. I want to invest 100 million rupees, euro in Seychelles. What are the different stages that I have to go through to realize that development?
Okay. Usually, as per the process, the ministry receives project proposals, be it from foreigners or Seychellois, through the Planning Authority or through SIB. So these are the two entities mainly that we receive consent.
So the Planning Authority and the Seychelles Investment Board.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So through the SIB, it comes as a project memorandum or project proposal. So we are one of the stakeholders that SIB, they do consult. And through the Planning Authority, if it is a big project, usually it comes as an outline application, and this is also circulated to the ministry for comments.
Okay. What happens then?
If it is going to be a Class 1, when it is circulated to the ministry, we do carry out our own assessment. We go through the proposal. If it is an outline, we go through the outline proposal, because usually it's a master plan as the outline. So we go through it and then we comment on it. So we request that a Class 1 is required for such development. And then in that letter, we also inform that the developer should appoint an environment impact consultant so as to carry the assessment.
It's at this stage that
they are informed.
That the developer is informed.
Yes.
They need an environmental and social impact assessment.
Consultant. To carry out the assessment. Yes.
And then to report back to you.
Yes.
All that is done before the planning process is engaged.
This is done before because, as I've stated, the outline application is submitted. Then we reply to planning in a letter, and we state that before that we provide a final decision on this, a Class 1 will have to be undertaken, an EIA consultant will have to be appointed, and the developer will have to communicate with us so as to initiate the process.
Okay.
And they have to let us know in writing who is the environment consultant.
Okay. Say I've sent an outline application to develop a project in Cosmoledo. Okay. What kind of assessment would you require from me?
It's a Class 1.
It's a Class 1.
Yes.
And what kind of assessment would I have to carry out to meet the criteria for a Class 1 project?
maybe I would go through the process. Usually, for example, on Outer Islands, you stated Cosmoledo, you will have tourism development. So we will request that the class 1 is undertaken. When the EIA consultant is appointed, the ministry is notified through the letter and we initiate the process. Usually there is an inception meeting that is carried out with the ministry and the consultant, so that the consultant and the project team, they present the project so that we know a bit more about the project. And then we start the process by a scoping phase.
Okay.
So the scoping phase, you have to consult the different ministries, departments that are directly related or impacted by
So, for
such
example, if I want to do a
development.
hotel project in Cosmoledo, who would be the stakeholders that would have to be consulted?
Mostly all, like the ministry responsible for tourism, planning authority, IDC, SIB also. We invite them. Other stakeholders will include Department of Health and Public Health Authority, SFRSA. So those are the main ones.
Are
that we-
NGOs invited in this process?
Yes. NGOs are invited. For example, if it's Outer Islands, ICS will be invited, and other NGOs that are doing other works on the islands and
Okay.
are relevant.
So, continue. What's the next part of the process?
So we have the scoping meeting, and the project is again presented to the different ministries and departments. And again, after that, part of the scoping phase is a public meeting. And again, the project is presented to the public. Usually, the public meeting is held on Saturdays because we want to have maximum participation of the public. And then they are given a time frame to provide comments. So scoping forms are distributed. We ask them to provide their contact details, emails, and also, I forgot to say, one of the main stakeholders also include the district authority, so local government, if it is in particular districts. So we do send out the scoping forms. We provide our contacts so they can contact us if there are any issues or if there are inquiries that they want to make. And then we give them a deadline to provide the comments. All of the comments are then circulated to the consultant as well. Then they prepare a scoping report. So the scoping report will include all of the issues that have been raised by the different stakeholders. So compilation
That report is compiled and produced by their
by
expert.
the EIA consultant.
Okay.
Yes. So, and then the scoping report is submitted to the ministry. The ministry again circulates the report for comments. And from that, a TOR is then issued to the consultant.
So the terms of reference
Yes,
from that report
Yes.
is sent to the consultant.
yes.
Okay. And what is the consultant then asked
The
to do?
consultant then, from the TOR, has to carry out different assessments as per the TOR. So he needs to meet the different assessments,
So
surveys.
what would be the normal terms of reference that he has?
The terms of reference, for example, it will direct you, in a way, guide you as to the
contents?
contents of the report, the format of the report. So you have your summary. You will also talk about alternatives to the project. So what type of project, if that one is not feasible, what type of project would have been considered? And also different aspects, environmental aspects, such as environmental management plan, the biodiversity, the flora, the fauna, drainage management issues, waste management
Okay.
issues, all issues related
Okay.
to environment.
Are these terms of reference informed from the scoping exercise?
Yes,
So it's based really on the scoping exercise
Yes.
and the scoping report.
Yes.
Whatever's reported in that,
Yes.
that's what you use then to
to
tell them to
provide
carry out the
yes,
environmental
the
and
different
social.
assessments. Yes.
Thank you. When they produce that then, what happens?
Once it is produced, the report is produced, then the report will have to be submitted to the ministry.
Okay, can I just stop you there? The report, the ESIA report,
Yes.
for say for example, for an island like Cosmoledo, typically how long would it take for something like that to be carried out?
We do not have a time frame. It depends on the consultant and the project team and the people working with the consultant. For example, at times a consultant do contract out other surveys, specific surveys that they need to conduct in so as to meet the TORs, and it depends on them. So we do not have a time frame as to when the report should be submitted or how long it should take to carry
Yes.
out the different assessments.
But typically, I want to know, say for a project, I wanted to start a hotel development on Cosmoledo. There would be, as you said, there'd be quite a few things to be looking at, like the flora, the fauna. What else would I be involved in assessing to meet your requirements?
There's different assessments. For example, if the TOR requires you to produce an environment management plan, so you have to take into account everything that needs to be done during construction as well. So there are a lot of other issues such as public health issues. There are issues if you have something to do along the coastline, maybe you will be requested to carry out a marine assessment. So there are different aspects of the environment that needs to be.
Okay. So if for example, I come across the fact when I'm doing my assessment that there's actually no baseline studies that have ever been done on Cosmoledo, what would I have to do then?
Then you will have to carry out and initiate the study, because usually one of the things in the TOR, one of the requests for information will relate to biodiversity, flora and fauna. If you do not have the data, then you will have to carry out the assessment, initiate the assessment. And if you cannot do it as the environment consultant, you have the opportunity for you to contract out this assessment to other specialists that will carry out the assessment for you.
So would I be right to imagine that could take a considerable amount of time?
Yes.
It's not something I could do in a couple of months or 3 months.
Yes.
It would take me some time.
Yes.
Thank you. Once that is done, what happens then? I submit my report to you. What happens then?
Once the report is submitted, we go through the report to check if everything is in order. Then we circulate the report. If we are satisfied with the content, the structure of the report, we circulate to the stakeholders, and we also put it on public inspection for 2 weeks. And we also put it, the digital version, we also put it on the ministry's website. We also circulate the report through email because during public meeting, we requested for contact details of people that have attended the meeting. So then we circulate the report to them as well. And once this time frame, once the public review is completed, stakeholders review is completed, then we compile the comments, and then the ministry provide a feedback. This can be through a notice of acceptance, meaning that we accept the report.
Who issues the notice of acceptance?
The ministry.
The Ministry of Environment?
Yes.
So we are happy with your report. This is our notice of acceptance.
Yes, this is a notice of acceptance, and we provide a list of conditions that needs to be addressed or adhered.
So typically, for an island like Cosmoledo, what kind of conditions would typically be attached?
One of the main conditions usually, this applies for all development, that once you get your notice of acceptance, one of the conditions will include that you will need an environment officer for the project, because that person will oversee works during construction in terms of environmental conditions.
Would that necessitate the environmental officer being in situ on Cosmoledo?
Yes.
To supervise the construction works?
The person will have to be on site when construction is ongoing.
What is the reason for this?
Because the person is our point of contact, the ministry. So the ministry will not be on site on a daily basis, especially if it's on outer islands. So that person will ensure that all of the conditions are being met and that work is being carried out as per conditional approval given. So it is very important for that person to be on site and to provide reports to us. So we have a guidelines for environment officer that we do circulate, or we do submit when that person is appointed. So the role of the developer, once the NOA is issued to them, one of the roles is for them to appoint an environment officer, and then we provide the guidelines. We go through the guidelines because in the NOA we request that we have a meeting prior to the start of construction. We have a meeting with the developer, the environment officer, and the contractor so that we can go through the NOA, and then we can discuss if there are questions, so that when the construction starts, the person is in place and work goes along smoothly.
Thank you. Typically, the environmental officer can be employed by either the Department of Environment itself, or it could be from an NGO, could it?
Yes.
Okay.
Usually the environment officer is not employed by the ministry. We request that the developer employs the environment officer. So the developer, usually the environment officer, is paid by the developer.
And that environmental officer who is appointed would meet your criteria.
Yes,
in terms of their expertise.
Because they already have they will have the NOA, and we expect that they have the expertise as well for them to oversee our works and ensure that it is being done as per approval.
Okay, so I now have overcome that hurdle. I now have to make the planning regulations, and the planning authority process is separate to yours.
Yes.
Say they grant me planning permission, I start cutting the ground in Cosmoledo. What typically is the schedule for the environmental officer in terms of the supervision and in terms of the communication to you?
Okay. The environment officer will have to be on site on a daily basis. So on outer islands, we expect that the environment officer will be there permanently, so to oversee the development. And for us, we will have occasional communication with the officer. So the officer will contact us whenever there is a need. If there are issues or if they need guidance on certain things. And also they will have to do their reporting back as well. So they will have to produce their reports. Usually it's monthly reports they will have to produce to us. And along the same line, we also, as the authority, we have to go on site as well to do our monitoring as well. So we do not rely solely on the environment officer.
You do regular visits
Yes.
and supervisions
Yes.
of the development?
Yes.
Okay. Say I am doing my work in Cosmoledo and you find out that I am using heavy machinery which was not permitted. What are the options for the Department of Environment at this stage?
Okay. If the environment officer alerts us, then we will have to take the contractor as well as the developer to task, because this is a breach of the conditions and we have to communicate back to them. Usually we will inform them formally, so either through letter, or if this is a continuous, it occurs continuously, then we will have to issue either prohibition or an enforcement, because they are breaching the conditions.
Okay, could you tell us the difference between the prohibition notice and the enforcement notice?
Prohibition notice is when the work is ongoing, but we see that the way or the manner in which the work is being done may result in environmental impacts. So we issue the prohibition because we want this to be remedied. So we give you a set of instructions in the prohibition so as to prevent damages or impacts to the environment.
Okay. Say you've issued me a prohibition notice.
Yes.
I ignore you, I carry on. What happens then?
If we issue the prohibition notice and we see that there are still breach, or still the manner in which the work is being done is not satisfied to us, then we will have to take further actions. For example, we can go through a court case directly, or we can then issue an enforcement because we know that the way in which you are not respecting
Okay.
what you were told to do.
Thank you.
So these are the main lines of
Do
the
you,
directions that
do
we can
you at this stage, do you communicate with the planning authority as well?
Yes. In all of the communications that we do to all developments or
Okay.
to the environment consultants, we do copy planning. For example, when we do our monitoring reports and when we do communicate back to the developer or the environment consultant, then planning is also copied. And whatever communications that we do with the consultant or with the developer, planning is always in copy.
Instead of going to court, is there any other option for the planning authority if the breaches continue?
The planning authority may also issue a stop notice because we also discuss. So they know what we are going to do, and the planning authority can also issue a stop notice.
Can you issue a stop notice?
We can issue, yes, we can issue a directive to stop under the law. So we can issue a directive to stop all construction. Then we can decide on the next step. So you stop all construction, and then we give you instructions so as to what to do.
Okay. How to remedy the breaches so that you can continue with the construction.
Yes.
Okay. Now that you've explained the normal process, may I ask you, what was your involvement in the Assomption project?
Okay.
When did you first hear about the Assomption project?
Okay. The Assumption project for the ministry, we first heard of the project in 2023.
2023?
Yes.
Around what month?
Around July, because what happened is that ICS,
Island
Conservation Society, they did apply to be registered as an environment consultant. So they had to apply to the ministry for that. And at that time, there were two projects. There was Grand Bab development, the concept.
Grand Bab at
Silhouette, which came before Assumption, but around not a big time difference between the two. So ICS then wanted to be registered as an EIE consultant. And at that time, the ministry raised concern because the ministry saw that as a conflict of interest, ICS being part of, how can I say that? Because ICS, IDC was
let me
directly
let me ask you,
involved with the project.
do you know who the board members of ICS are?
Yes,
So-
because IDC was a board member of
Who
ICS.
on IDC was a board member of
I
ICS?
think at that time it was Mr. Glenny Savi,
Okay.
who was a member of the ICS. So we saw that as a conflict because it was going to be directly related. ICS did appeal, and they were granted the approval for them to be registered as an EIE consultant at the
So
time.
that was the first time you heard about the project on Assomption.
Yes, and after that, the outline application for Assumption, it was submitted to Planning Authority, and that was in December 2023.
So this is important for me to understand this. You were never contacted by the SIB, the
No.
State of Investment Board.
No, for Assumption, we were not contacted by SIB.
So you don't know whether the project actually even went to the SIB?
No.
Okay. The first time you got contact was when there was an application for a consultant to be registered for the Assumption
Yes,
project.
yes.
And you did not know what the Assumption project was at that stage.
No. And then we knew about the concept or about what the project was going to include when the outline application was submitted to the ministry through the Planning Authority.
So what happened?
Then the ministry responded. We sent a letter to the Planning Authority, and we requested for a Class 1 EIE to be undertaken. So Planning Authority then conveyed this response to the developer, and the EIA process was then initiated.
So a scoping report was first done.
At first, it was inception meeting. So just to be clear, the letter of appointment from ICS. So ICS was appointed as EIA consultant for the project in January 2024. So then we initiated the process through the inception meeting in 2024. So that was on January 26th, 2024. So we had the inception meeting with ICS and as a normal process.
Yeah.
So that the project can be presented and then we go through the process. And the scoping meeting was held on the 5th of February 2024.
Okay. Can I ask you, you said there were concerns raised about the fact that there might not be a lot of objectivity given
Yes.
the fact that IDC was already represented on the board of ICS and there was a perception of a conflict of interest
Yes.
of the developer and the environmental assessment being part of the same process.
Yes.
How were these concerns addressed by the developer?
Like I've said, there was an appeal that was submitted to the ministry,
Which ministry?
to the Ministry of Environment. So usually the appeal is submitted and ICS responded by looking at the different points. They provided answers to the different points through the appeal and eventually the appeal was granted.
Granted by the ministry.
Yes.
And how did they decide to grant the appeal, seeing that the conflict still remained?
In fact, through the appeal, ICS made mention of the current regulations and the fact that currently there's no laws or regulations that prevent them from carrying out the assessment. But what I must state as well is that the fact that even though the ministry did grant approval for ICS to carry out environment assessment, the ministry did continue to raise this concern with regards to ICS carrying out the assessment for Assomption because of the same reasons previously stated.
Okay, thank you. Then what happened?
From the scoping meeting, which was held on the 5th of February, then there was a scoping visit on the 6th of February. So the day after, there was a scoping visit to Assomption. So on that scoping visit, there were
Do you
different...
remember the date of the scoping visit?
Yes, the 6th of February. So the day after the scoping meeting was held. So on that visit, there were different stakeholders that took part in the visit. There was a ministry, our ministry, the ICS, different staff from different sections within the ministry, SFRSA, the Planning Authority, Public Health, DRDM, SIF was also present. So the SIF team from Aldabra, they also joined the visit at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Continue.
Okay, and there was a second scoping meeting. So the second scoping meeting, this was held with the core team of the Marine Spatial Planning team. So we felt it was necessary or important for them also to be scoped at the stage because, you know, of the, at the time, there was the ongoing Marine Spatial Planning law that was going to be worked on and to be approved. So in view of the location, for example, Assomption, part of the Aldabra Atoll, and in view that this area was considered as a Zone 1 in the Marine Spatial Plan, so it was felt important that they are also consulted and provide feedback.
Okay. Would I be correct to say that this development was probably the most sensitive one that your department has ever handled?
On Outer Islands, this, I would say it was the most sensitive ones. And also, yes, one of the most sensitive ones within Seychelles.
Okay. So therefore, I would be right to say that you were on a higher alert than
Yes.
other developments?
Yes.
Okay. So then what happened? Please proceed.
Okay. From the 26th of February, then we had the public meeting, which was held at the Wishkaimer Community Center on the 9th of March. So that was a Saturday. And the meeting was held from 2 to 5 p.m., if I'm not mistaken. And on the 20th of March, the scoping form. So the public and the different ministries had a chance, like I've explained before, to provide comments through scoping forms. So the scoping forms were then forwarded to ICS as the environment consultant.
Okay, and then they produced the report.
And then the report was submitted. Yes.
Can you tell us what were the main matters highlighted in the report?
Okay. One of the main issues of discussion in the report, which I must admit, is the fact that ICS did state that I would read the sentence which ICS stated. ICS stated the following: it is of the opinion of ICS that in its current state, the construction of a resort of this scale will likely have adverse negative impacts on the ecosystem of the island. And ICS recommends a more sustainable development approach, for example, an eco-resort on the island that will fully incorporate the natural aspects of the island whilst having minimal impacts on the environment and providing visitors with the opportunity to fully appreciate the natural beauty of the island. And they, in addition to that, they stated the following: this can be achieved by minimizing the development footprint and using ecologically sound designs to prioritize preservation. And also, one of the things that ICS at the time in the scoping report, they stated is the fact that they would recommend that 1 year is used so as to gather data on Assomption, and then the development, they recommend that the development then start after
That would have
time.
That would have meant that everything in terms of construction or planning would have been stopped until that whole assessment was carried out.
That was what they recommended in the scoping report.
In that quotation that you have just cited, they talk about an eco-resort.
Yes.
Could you, for us, explain to us what is meant by an eco-resort?
Eco-resort, usually it blends with the environment, so you have to take into account the location of the development, the type of biodiversity, the ecosystem, the habitat. So it's usually a low-scale development that incorporates, that blends with the environment.
Okay.
So there's not much like concrete, but it's something that is a more eco-friendly.
Okay. Would you give us an example of such resort in Seychelles? Do you know of any of those?
Resort in Seychelles, maybe North Island style, small villas, which blends with the environment.
Okay. So when somebody talks about an eco-resort, this is what you perceive to be the concept?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that report, that first scoping report
That
was circulated?
Circulated.
And then what happened?
And then from the scoping report, in April 2024, we did submit and circulate the TOR to ICS. So ICS then would start the different assessments as per the terms of reference.
Could you repeat the date again?
On 17th of April 2024.
Okay. And then they produce their EIA after that?
Yes, ICS did acknowledge that they received the TOR, so then, they had to work on the EIA, and they had to produce the EIA report after that.
When was that submitted to you?
The soft copy of the EIA report was submitted on the 13th of May, 2024.
So that was pretty quick?
Yes.
Okay.
So when we first received the copy, we did alert ICS that there were some information like annexes, which they did mention in the main body of the report, but it was missing as an annex to the report. So that was also, we did communicate to ICS to amend, because when we receive the report, we have to go through it to check if the structure, if all the pages are there. And so we had to get back to them to inform them that some of the annexes were missing. So they had to amend it and to submit again.
Okay. Were you content that the issues that had been raised in the scoping report were also addressed and assessed in the EIA?
Okay, when the report was first submitted, like I've said, we did inform ICS that there were annexes that were missing, information were missing. What I must state is that we did meet with ICS, we did meet with them, we did go through the report, so as to highlight what we are, what we have observed, and what we've noted during the in the report, what we're missing. So we
So
met
you,
with
you
them.
perceive some discrepancies
Yes, we
and you
met
ask
with
them.
them, and we met with them in June 2024. So I must also state that at that time, when the report was circulated, we did circulate the report to SIF. And SIF then did raise the issue of biosecurity management plan, and they did request that a specific biosecurity management plan be produced. So because the report at that time did not have a specific biosecurity management plan, so we did then communicate that to ICS as well.
In that assessment, was there a biodiversity assessment?
There was an assessment which was done by Bruno Santerre in 2023. ICS did use that report, but a full biodiversity assessment in the report was not in the report.
Okay. Bruno Santerre is also a board member
Yes.
of ICS. Yes. So then what happened?
ICS, we met with them, like I've said. They were requested to amend the report, and they did that. They submitted a second version of the report, and they submitted it to the ministry. So again, we had to go through it, and the report was placed on public inspection from the 3rd to the 22nd of July 2024. So the public had the chance to also go through it.
Was the fact that the report was there for public inspection published in national newspapers and on the national media?
There is a notice that is published in the newspaper so as to inform the public that the report will be on public inspection from the 3rd of July to the 22nd of July. So this notice was also placed on our website, and so the public were informed that this was going to happen.
Thank you. Were there any communications from the public? Any concerns
There
raised?
were concerns from the public, but I cannot recall. But there were comments that we did receive. And also, I must say that we did share a link to the report to those people that attended the public meeting. So we did share a link so that they can also access the report and provide their comments, should there be. And in August, on the 1st of August 2024, ICS did submit the biosecurity management plan. This was a report which was produced by Pete Corson. In fact, SIF provided a list of specialists that could be contacted to carry out the biosecurity management plan. And Pete Corson was one of them, and so he was assigned with that.
Who assigned the project to Pete Corson?
ICS.
ICS
Yes.
itself. Okay.
So the biosecurity management plan was produced, and it was submitted to the ministry, and we did circulate this to SIF as well, so that they can have, they can review the plan and provide comments. And we did, after that.
Well, just hold on a minute. Just bear with us for a minute. The internet drops now and then.
Okay.
Get a chance to have a sip of water if you'd like.
Yeah.
We've been talking a lot. Do you want to check the other one? Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry again. Thank you. I'm sorry again to have interrupted you. So could you please carry on from where we left off?
Okay. Yes, as I was saying, the biosecurity management plan was then circulated to SIF for comments. And on the 18th of August in 2024, we did release a letter. It was a feedback letter to ICS in terms of the EIA report, and we provided them with feedback on the report itself. So the main content of the letter addressed the issues. For example, we saw that there were some missing information in the report, and also there were some inconsistencies. And
Could you give us a few
some
examples?
Okay, if I may go. Okay, some of the points that we did raise in the report was with regards to okay. In regards to, for example, landscaping, because they made mention of landscaping, one of the points that we raised was the fact that it was still unclear where the plans for landscaping will come from. So we were requesting more information on that. And also, we raised the issue about the report did not provide much assessment on the potential impacts with regards to the development itself. And also, we touched on issues such as I've talked about the landscaping. We talked about issues about the development footprint as well. And also, we made references to the sections, the different sections. For example, in one part of the letter, under inconsistencies and lack of clarity, we made mention of section 4.2.12, where it was stated that buildings will be built on pillars and on ground below units will not be raised. So we wanted to have more information on that. And also, other important information which we wanted to have was with regards to, for example, they made mention about the jetty, the existing jetty. but we still felt that there were some information, the information provided were insufficient for us in terms of renovating the jetty, so we wanted more information on that. And some other details, for example, the use of coral stones on the island for aggregate and for cladding of the building, so we wanted more information on that, and the different stockpile areas for the different development zones of the project.
Did they respond?
Yes, they did provide a letter of reply. So in that letter, they took one by one in terms of the different issues that we've raised, and they did address those in the letter.
Was the ministry satisfied then?
The ministry did the internal discussion, and there was also a meeting with the minister on that with regards to the different information that they've provided and the fact that there were some insufficient information, and then the fact that they've provided answers to the different points that were raised. So yes, there were some discussions that were held, and the notice of acceptance was then provided.
Were there external parties to the ministry involved in those discussions?
In that discussion, there was a meeting that was held because when we did issue the letter, the feedback letter, then we did have the chance to meet with the minister, with IDC, with ICS, and also there was a meeting that the minister chaired together with the president so that we can discuss.
So the president was involved at that stage?
The president did meet with us at one instance to discuss on the different matters that were raised. And then each of those issues were discussed in the presence of ICS, IDC, and the ministry as well.
Okay. And then the notice of acceptance
The notice of acceptance was released on the 3rd of September in 2024.
Can you tell us what the notice of acceptance means?
The notice of acceptance means that the EIA report has been accepted by the ministry, and the developer and the consultant then could proceed to submit their planning applications. But the notice of acceptance, when it is issued with a number of conditions. So what we did in the notice of acceptance, you will find, if you take a copy of the letter that was submitted to ICS, the feedback letter, and if you take a copy of the notice of acceptance, you will see that there are some similarities in terms of content. So we did, in the notice of acceptance, there are some conditions that you will see that we did request for same information as in the, so for example, in terms of some further information on the biodiversity assessment. So we also requested that they submit all the plans for the different buildings, back of house, the jetty as well. So yes, the notice of acceptance was then issued in September.
And then they submitted their planning applications?
And then the planning applications was submitted, and the planning board did visit Assomption on the 13th of September in 2024.
One of the complaints that has emerged from various stakeholders is that it was unknown up till then that a biodiversity assessment and other environmental concerns would be addressed in parallel with the construction of the hotel in Assomption. Were you aware of that?
In terms of the concerns raised?
Yes.
Yes, there were concerns raised, and we as a ministry also raised some concerns because when the construction started, we felt that there were some conditions of the NOA that were not being respected, especially when it comes to environmental matters.
So was an environmental officer put on site?
Not yet.
Okay. It wasn't put on site, yet the construction continued.
Yes.
Was a biodiversity assessment completed?
No.
And yet the construction continued.
Yes. What happened, if I may, we had a meeting when the construction started, and during 2025, early 2025, we started to raise concerns. In fact, when even late 2024, because for us, our notice of acceptance needs to be followed, especially when it comes to the conditions, and also there needs to be supervision in terms of environmental matters whenever there is a development at the scale. So we did raise concerns because we noticed that the environment officer was yet to be appointed, and also the full biodiversity assessment was yet to be initiated. And this was very important because taking into account that there's 2 seasons within the year, so this had to be completed during both cycles.
Okay. As the building works progress, were there other concerns raised?
Yes, more or less the same issues, because we did meet internally and with other stakeholders. For example, we did request that we had a meeting because we were very concerned. We had a meeting internally with IDC and ourselves, and in April 2025, we did send a letter to the developer so as to put in writing and to raise the concerns.
So you put them on notice?
No, it was not a notice yet.
Okay.
That was a letter.
Okay.
So in that letter, what we did, we highlighted some of the conditions that were not being respected.
For example,
the appointment of the environment officer.
The jetty?
This was very important for us, because the fact that we did not have supervision and we were not able to go to Assumption, we were not there on a daily basis. So we did not have information as to what was happening on the
and whether your conditions were being met.
Exactly. So
we were told by planning yesterday,
yes,
that they had requested that they visit once a month, and that did not happen. It happened very regularly, sometimes every 2 months.
Okay.
Were you part of any of those visits?
In fact, yes. In fact, because our department, we have to monitor, and we take this very seriously in terms of the monitoring. So we did lead meetings. The Ministry of Environment did lead meetings with different stakeholders, and on our part, we did produce a schedule of visits. So we were proposing to have 2 visits in a month, 2 monitoring visits in a month. Okay. So this was also circulated to IDC, so that arrangements for flights and so forth can be done. In April, when we did send the letter, we made mentions of some of the conditions, especially the priority ones, like I was saying. But then we saw that this was not respected as well. What we did in May 2025, then we did issue a directive to stop.
So you issued a stop notice to the developers?
Yes.
And who did you issue
a directive to stop everything?
Who did you send it to? Who were the people you sent the letter to?
It was addressed to Mr. Omar Al-Sahili
of
UCC.
Of UCC.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
was the issue of the jetty raised at that point?
The main issues raised at the point was in the directive to stop, we did include the different conditions. So one of them was the appointment of the
environmental officer,
the biodiversity assessment. So after that, when we did issue the directive to stop, planning was also issued a stop notice at that time.
And did planning mention the jetty at any stage?
I think planning referred to environmental
Concerns
or
only. Nobody
environmental
had raised the
concerns.
fact that a jetty should have been constructed and that barging should not be continuing, barging of the construction.
At the time, the most important ones that we were talking to them
Yeah.
was with regards to the environment officer, to the biodiversity. In fact, for the jetty, in the notice of acceptance, we requested that they submit planning applications to the planning authority. But this was yet to be done.
So would I be right to think that everybody in a normal course would have expected the jetty to be completed before construction starts, seeing that the construction materials are coming from Mahe and somehow have to be landed on Assomption?
Yes,
But that did not take place.
this did not take place
And to date, it
because
still has not been constructed.
to date, the planning application has been submitted for the jetty, but construction of the jetty not yet, because we've provided comments on
Thank
the
you.
proposed
Thank you.
application.
We were told yesterday by the developers that they met the breaches that were raised, that they remedied them, and the stop notice was raised within 4 days.
In fact, what happened, yes, a stop notice was withdrawn, but what happened is that when we did issue the directive to stop, there was a meeting that was held, and the developers representative was present. They came down to Seychelles following that.
Stop notice.
Yeah, and we discussed then. And we also, after the meeting, there was an email that was sent to them. And one of the things that we did mention is that for the stop notice to be lifted, we need to have the letter of appointment of
For the
officer,
environmental
officer. So this was done, and the stop notice, yes, was lifted. And in that letter, they did state that SIF is going to be the environment officer, so that we communicate all environmental matters, including biosecurity matters. Then we will communicate with SIF as environment officer on site.
To your knowledge, was the environmental officer then put in situ on Assomption Island?
No, not yet. What happened from then, we, following the confirmation of SIF that that SIF was to be the appointed environment officer, then yes, the stop notice was lifted, and we did also but we did again send emails because the environment officer was yet to be appointed. So then SIF appointed one person, a person which went to Assomption as the temporary environment officer at the time. So what happened is that we had a visit on Assomption in June 2025, and that person also went on the island. So the main objective was then to have the person there until that SIF recruits a permanent environment officer on Assomption.
Eventually, somebody was appointed.
Eventually, somebody was appointed, and that person, the permanent environment officer, went to Assomption in September. 2025.
Okay.
But also what happened during that time is the fact that SIF, even though they recruited or they appointed a temporary environment officer at the time, the officer did not last long on Assomption and had to come down. And I think that person only stayed on Assomption for 2 weeks then. So between June, July to September, then there was no one again.
And construction was going at a fast pace.
And construction was ongoing as per their approval, but unfortunately there was no environment officer on
no
site.
supervision.
Unfortunately, there was no supervision, and unfortunately, the biodiversity assessment was
still
yet
not
to
done.
be initiated.
Okay, so no jetty, no biodiversity,
No, at the time.
and construction was continuing.
Yes.
Okay, so then subsequently, what happened in November?
In November of 2025, we did issue a prohibition notice because, again, all along, we did raise our concerns, and this has been continuous, especially the authority, as the ministry responsible for environment. And the fact that we were not able to go there as frequently as we would have wanted to, then this was a major issue in terms of the environment. So we did issue a prohibition in September, and in that prohibition, one of the instructions was to stop all works altogether, so that a number of conditions are met, and then they can proceed.
Okay. So a stop notice was issued?
It's a prohibition notice whereby one of the instructions is to stop.
And that is still in place?
That is still in place. There are some instructions that have been given in the prohibition. For example, again, we reiterate that they had to submit the plan for the jetty, and that they have to submit the plan for the nursery. And one of the issues, again, was with the fact that one of the conditions was to provide us with information in terms of species relocation whenever there are clearings on the island. So this was, again, we did not have that information. They were yet to be provided. But one of the conditions was to have an updated environment management plan.
Okay.
We were yet to receive that. So these are some of the things that we asked them.
They said in evidence yesterday that they've submitted everything. They haven't heard anything back.
It is not correct to state that they've submitted everything, because up to now we are still waiting for the environment management plan. The biodiversity assessment is yet to be started. They informed us that they liaise with SIF and that SIF has someone, but for us, nothing has happened till now. So it is not correct to say that they've complied with everything.
Okay. That's probably my last question to you.
Yeah.
One of the things that came to light yesterday in our discussions and our communication with the Qataris was the fact that they said they had contracted to IDC, and they expected when they contracted to IDC that IDC would be the agency who would perform all the necessary environmental planning demands that were put on them. And therefore, they are not responsible for breaches performed by IDC. What is your view on this matter?
I think from an environment perspective, and I think it's not correct to state that it is IDC's responsibility to ensure that all of the conditions are respected. This is something that it needs to be a joint effort. If this is my development, then I need to ensure that all of the respective laws and regulations are being followed correctly. So I have to ensure that my contractor also needs to ensure that all of the conditions being given, they are being followed. And the fact that for us, it relates to environmental issues mainly. So we are very concerned because there are a lot of mitigative measures in their report that they've stated, that the EIE consultant stated that this will be done as part of the development and during construction. So I think that this should be a shared responsibility. The developer needs to ensure that the development is ongoing, yes, but it needs to follow the conditions that they've been given.
They also said that they were directed to the ICS and that they expected the ICS to meet all the criteria demanded. And then they were informed that the president in a State of the Nation address had said it was the SIF who was to take over the biodiversity assessment. And that therefore they felt they had to do that, and they engaged the SIF and that the price was exorbitant. Have you any comment on that?
I cannot comment on the financial agreements or proposal, but what I can comment on is the fact that for us, as long as ongoing negotiation is being done, environmentally, there are a lot of impacts. So if construction did continue, then there would have been a lot of impacts because we still feel that our conditions are not being met. So yes, SIF and the developer, through a letter, confirmed that SIF is going to be the the environment officer. So for us, SIF and the developer needs to have a shared responsibility. So the developer needs to ensure that SIF also is doing its part. But because we as the authority, we will always ensure that whatever conditions have been given needs to be followed.
Okay.
So hence why we had to take the decision.
That you did.
And yes, so until everything is sorted out.
Thank you. Thank you. Finally, you know that the project is about 50% completed now. What are the implications of that?
In terms of the environment, now we will have to look at the mitigative measures. For example, that's why it is very important to have the updated environment management plan. So if it is 50% completed now, we have to ensure that whatever comes after, if approval is given for them to continue, whatever comes after does not impact again on the environment. So we have to ensure that whatever the next step is, all of the conditions are being respected and that it is done accordingly.
And if the project is stopped completely?
Well, there needs to be mitigative measures and needs to be actions taken because there are areas that have already been cleared. So there needs to be actions taken so as to restore the areas and also to see how to improve the environment on the island.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
We're going to stop in a minute. If you could just wait at the back so
Okay.
that we don't interrupt the proceedings. I just want to call Mr. Wao to produce some documents.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wao. Thank you. Welcome back. For the record, your name is Fred Wao. You work for the Registration Division. And yesterday you came to produce some documents. And one of the documents I had asked you for was for the incorporation and memorandum of association and the financial standing of Urbacon Trading and Contracted Limited. Is that correct?
Yes, that's
Do you
correct.
have these records with you now?
Yes, I do have.
Thank you. So can you tell us when this company was incorporated?
This company was incorporated on the 1st of February 2024.
Thank you. And can you tell us who the shareholders and the directors of the company are?
The shareholders of the companies are Mr. M.O.H. Sabri Mustafa Inashrala, the first one with 99 shares. And then the second one, it seems that the company itself is having shares with two other companies. We have the one Urbacon Trading and Contracting with 99 shares and Urbacon Holding Company with 1 share.
Thank you. If you look at the return for particulars, directors and secretaries,
Okay.
it would appear that both Mr. Mustafa and Mr. Akari have resigned as company directors.
From what we have, yeah, both of them has resigned.
So are there any directors now?
Well, we're in the process of writing to them because they're supposed to have the director.
Thank you. And you obviously they set up only recently, so
There's no annual return.
there's no annual
But we do have
returns.
the registered office,
Yeah.
which is second floor, room number 1098, building Premier Building, Suite Albert Street.
Okay. And the objects of their company is to be interior and exterior designers and decorators. Is that correct? And to act as landscape artists and consultants.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Thank you. Do you produce these documents
Yes.
formally?
Yes.
Thank you. So COI 6, we mark these documents.
Okay.
As COI 6.
Okay, in relation to IDCC, you see, we don't have this.
So I ask you to look at, and if you have any records of the company IDCC, there's nothing registered with the
There's
register. You can
nothing
confirm
registered.
that.
Yeah, I can confirm.
Thank you, Mr. Wawu. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We are now going to go into an in-camera proceedings, so we would like you to switch off the cameras and leave court. We are going to bring in a witness who wants to be in camera. So if everybody could leave court.
help us with making our transcriptions a lot easier. Please don't worry about it. You don't even have to look at it or anything like that. But you will see a picture of the side of your cheek when you do look across.
I know that.
Do you want to introduce that?
One of the last things yesterday Harry said was that there were 7 matters
Yeah.
that have been brought to their attention for
Semi-work proposition.
yes, and that they have met all of those.
No.
Part of it.
This is the first one that we should in May.
That's the one of the condition.
That's the one in November.
Sorry. No, it's fine. SBC Power. That's the SPC, that's not. Okay. I'm waiting for SPC. Yeah, I know, but not for you. Not in the court system. Marie Claire is also recording, so this has to be. No, not trois system. This is any field.
Oh.
Thank you. Thank you. Fait après fini. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. We had a witness in camera, so now we are resuming with Mrs. Law again. Thank you, Mrs. Law. Mrs. Law, just before you go, this is just a final question. Yesterday afternoon, the representatives of OBIL, that's the Ocean Breeze Limited, the developers, they said that they have complied with all the 7 matters that were raised in the stop notice. Do you have the matters that were brought to their attention under the stop notice?
Yes. You mean the prohibition?
Yes, the prohibition notice.
I have the matters.
And have all those been addressed?
No, not all the matters have been addressed yet. For example, with regards to the submission of the planning application for the jetty, this is instruction number 4, and we recommended that they submit detailed application for the jetty, including an assessment of the potential impacts on the marine and coastal environment to the environment. What they've done is that they've submitted planning application for the jetty only, and there is no report so as to show the impacts on the marine environment and coastal environment.
So it's a marine spatial impact that you're looking for?
Yes, impact on the marine environment.
Marine environment.
They should have submitted this report together with the planning application. And also, we requested that they conduct the biodiversity assessment and submit to the department. So we are still waiting for that. This is instruction number 3. So they are yet to comply with this one.
Okay.
And they had to produce to us the details of the relevant expert that is to carry out the assessment as well.
One of their complaints is that they keep writing to different authorities, including yourself, they get no response back. Have you written to them?
We have written to them previously, and with regards to the prohibition notice, we are yet to get back to them. What we are doing is that we are doing an assessment of compliance on the different instructions that we've given, and we are going to get back to them in terms of compliance so as to see whether the prohibition will be withdrawn or we will send a variation to the prohibition that was
Thank
set.
you. Mrs. Law, finally, we had communicated with you before we took your testimony, and you sent by wire transfer all the documentation to do with this case and the documents to which you have referred in your testimony. Do you formally produce them to this commission?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. You may
Thank
leave
you.
court. Thank you for your assistance.
Thank you very much.
We would now to call our next witness, Mr. Cyril Bonlam. Thank you, Mr. Bonlam. Thank you for coming. Mr. Bonlam, may I ask you whether you can take the oath?
Yes.
Are you Christian?
A Christian, yes.
Could you raise your right arm and repeat after me? I swear
I swear
to tell the truth,
to tell the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
nothing but the truth.
nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Bonlam, could you tell us, for the record, your name, your profession, and where you are currently working?
Cyril Bonlam, currently CEO of IDC and GICC.
Thank you. Previous to IDC, were you employed at any government agency?
No, I was chairman of the planning board up until I took over the post of IDC.
Yeah. Do you mind talking a little bit louder so we can
Yeah,
hear
I was chairman of the planning board. Yeah.
You were chair of the
Yes,
planning
right.
board. And during the time that you were chair of the planning board, were you at any point involved in the planning process for Ocean Breeze Island Limited with Assomption Island.
Yeah, that's correct. That was part of the planning team looking after the process for the approval of the project. And as you know, the process works in this manner. I'm not sure if it was sent to the cabinet or to the SIB first, but normally a project like that size, they send it to the SIB. And if it is fit for Seychelles, then it goes to environment.
Okay.
They do their due diligence, which is the
Okay.
EIA. And if that goes through, then it comes to planning for
Okay.
us to do our checks on the
Several
process.
several witnesses have told us that the matter never went to the SIB. Are you conscious of that,
No,
or
I'm not aware.
you don't
I-
know whether it
no,
went to
I don't-
SIB?
no, no,
You
not
didn't
aware.
see any documentation from SIB?
Not that I'm aware. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. As part of the planning process, can I ask you a very direct question? Was there any pressure put by the executive on the planning process at any stage?
No, not that I'm aware. We normally have our process, which is basically when a project comes to us, we have the referral agencies where we sort of distribute the project, there's like tourism project,
Okay.
health and environment, and get the feedback, and then sit as a committee, do the assessment, and if we approve, we tick the boxes and sort of send it to the developer, or if not, obviously we don't approve, but no,
Yeah.
not at all.
We have also been told that the executive was directly involved in this process and that meetings were held at State House. Were you involved in any of those meetings?
No, I was not.
You never attended any meeting at State House?
No, not at all. No,
Not to do with this process?
not at all.
Thank you. So subsequently, you were then appointed CEO of IDC. At
That's
what
correct.
stage were you appointed CEO of IDC?
I started on 6th of Jan, 2025,
Okay.
as CEO of IDC.
Okay. And what did you meet when you got there in terms of the Assomption development?
Well, obviously, got acquainted to IDC and GICC, but more specifically to the Assumption project. I had to go to the file that we had at our disposal, which was mainly the lease agreement that was signed by the government to the developer and IDC, and then the contract agreement, because IDC is a contractor, so obviously I had to price myself with the content of the agreement. And then, because the project had started, there were weekly meeting, which I attended, and obviously during those meetings, issues regards to state of construction and challenges we're getting. The normal process that we have with any development.
Okay.
So as of the second week of Jan, I was involved.
Okay. As you've heard from the testimony and on the national media, there were concerns raised about the development. Okay. Did you yourself have any concerns?
Well, for me, I look at it this way. If the due process was done, I, as an employee of IDC, a contractor, have to follow that due process. To me, due process was done because you went through the process of EIA and came out with the list of conditions. And then, as chairman of our planning board, due process was done as well. And then the permission was granted with a list of conditions. So as far as I, as a contractor, is concerned, we had to make sure that we did the construction in accordance with the planning regulations, as well as follow whatever whatever conditions that were set then.
Okay. As part of your work with IDC, the commission contacted you and you produced several documents to the commission. Can you talk us a little bit about your part in the development from the time you joined as CEO up till the first stop notice and the second stop notice, and consequently what the developments have been?
Yeah, like I said, when I took over, I had to make sure that I was fully conscious of the lease agreement, and then more importantly, the civil agreement, which is a construction agreement. And at that stage, I came to be aware that there's a problem with regards to the agreement, because a date was signed, but apparently it was not a date that had been agreed to in the discussions. I mean, I
Okay,
must at this point,
what
I
date
don't.
was the agreement signed, the civil contract?
It was for 20 months project, whilst apparently the discussion was still about a 26 months project.
And when was the agreement signed?
The agreement was signed, I've got the date here. The agreement was signed,
That's for the civil works.
the civil works agreement, yeah. Date 29 October 2024.
And according to that contract, the works were to be completed when?
On the 30th of the 6th, 2026, which is 20 months.
And you found out from
The
who?
discussions that I have with the team, internal team at IDC, that all along the discussion was to be a 26-month project. And obviously, because it's the signed agreement and there are legal exposures, we did two things. We continuously advise the developer that there is something wrong with the agreement, but it was signed. And we were asked at the time by Mr. Abid was the CEO of Ocean Breeze, that he was sending some document where that could be amended so that it could be signed. But we've done that, and it was never signed.
So according to the agreement that was signed, the works were to be completed by June of this year.
That's correct, yes.
And that deadline you felt could not be met given the
Definitely
extent
not.
of the works.
Definitely not. Regards, even if you take out the stop notices, it would definitely not
It would not have been
achievable.
completed.
No, definitely not.
Did they respond positively to your request to amend the contract?
Yes, Mr. Abid, the CEO then, stated that he had, that's in writing as well, he sent an email to say that he's going to send the Word version so that could be corrected, and it was done, sent to him, and it was never sent back to us for...
And you know that Mr. Burt has since left
That's correct, yeah.
OBIL,
That's
so
correct.
it could have something to do with that as well, the fact that no amendment was subsequently made.
I'm not aware, but we continued. Obviously, one of the representatives that I interacted to was Mr. Omar Al-Salihi, and he was copied on the mail as well. And in our weekly meeting as well with the team, we mentioned to them that that is an issue that needs to be resolved, but it was never done.
Thank you. There were several aspects of the EIA that both planning and the Environment Department have complained were never complied with. Are you aware of those?
IDC complaint, you said?
No, the Planning Authority
Uh-huh.
and also the Environment Department.
Yeah, there's a list of, as part of the NOAA, Notice of Acceptance, the list condition that was set. And obviously, that had to be adhered to. And because all along, whilst the project was ongoing, it was not being implemented. So yes, I am aware, and this is why we had the first of notice in May, where the developer came down and that was sorted out. Well, once it's sorted out, the issues was attended to, but even thereafter, the rest was not attended to. But as a contractor, our obligation is make sure that we deliver the project within the time frame that, or else, like I don't know if you're aware, there's a penalty clause in that contract, which states that if we don't fulfill that, there's a 10% penalty. And on a project which is $40.6 million, we're talking about $4 million. And I would want to be on my watch to be responsible for not achieving this.
The civil contract was for how much, if we could put that into the
It's
record?
$40.6 million.
$40.6
Yes.
million for all the civil works.
Yeah, what we call the grey works that
Okay.
we had to.
So you had to put up all the structures,
Yes,
meaning the 37 villas,
that's correct.
the 4 restaurants,
That's correct.
the back of house,
Yes,
the workers'
yeah.
residence, also
The
other
infrastructure.
also engineering aspects like
That's correct.
photovoltaic
Yes.
plants, waste management, all of that had to be performed
Within
by you.
within that 20 months I was signed.
Yes, plus a spa and a health center.
All the project I was approved by planning.
They had reserved for themselves just the completion in terms of the
Finishing.
finishing.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you agree with Ocean Breeze that about 50% of your works have been completed?
No, it's not. It's a lot less than that right now.
What would you say it would be?
I think we did an assessment, if I'm correct, because we do have a contracting manager, our team who monitors the progress. I think up until the stop notice was served, I think it's around 20% of the work done, completed.
One of the main contentions of Ocean Breeze is that they were more or less directed by IDC to go to certain agencies to meet both the planning regulations and to meet the environmental regulations. So, for example, they said that they were told by Mr. Savi to go to IDC for the construction, Green Island construction. They were told to go to Pestia, to go to Westia. They were also told to go to Atom Engineering. They were also told to take on board ICS as their consultant. Are you aware of that?
No, I'm not aware. I was not with the IDC at the time, and I was not aware of the discussions. What I can say is that the mandate of on development of the outer islands resides at IDC. So all constructions could be done by IDC. So
All
that I can understand. That's a policy
All constructions are done by IDC.
on the outer islands. The rest I wouldn't know.
Okay, so when you say constructions are done by IDC, does IDC also have complete control of other ancillary services that are provided to the outer islands? For
That is
example,
correct.
for waste management and pest control management.
Yeah, the model that IDC uses on the islands is that basically where there's resorts, we provide the utility, sewage, and water, and any other aspects that needs to be done. It's fully in the control of IDC. But I suppose if we don't have expertise in everything, so you have to subcontract. We do subcontract. But otherwise, everything's done by IDC.
Okay. So IDC would normally not meet the normal procurement regulations. It doesn't tender out for works. It just itself takes over and carries out the work on the outer islands.
As far as I am aware, for the procurement, since I've joined, is that we normally do the normal ethical tender process where you go in and get, if you're buying things, 3 quotations, to make sure that...
That's for materials.
For materials, yes.
Yeah.
But obviously there are some areas where you have a specific product where manufactured by specific manufacturer, so you have to do that project. But normally this is the ethics that I personally abide. But before that, I won't be able to tell you how it was done.
But in terms of waste and pest control, all those are satellite companies of IDC, Westia and Pestia. No other companies tender for those services. I
am not aware how that was done. But after I've come to IDC, we've had some issues where we needed some services for companies providing the services. And whilst we've sent out tender to, we've sought the services of other providers as well.
Okay, so you have made sure that the procurement
we do. We try.
Yeah,
we try that as well. Okay. Yes.
Thank you. Can you tell us about, because you were present for both of the stop notices,
yes.
Could you talk us through that a little bit?
Yeah. You see, as contractor and as landlord of the islands, in that case Assumption, we not only make sure that we do the construction, but obviously protect the environment as well. So for us, it was a concern that some of the issues were not being attended to. And when there was a queries from environment that there are a list of issues from the NOAA that was not being implemented. So, and in our weekly meeting as well, with the team in Qatar, we mentioned that to them as well. When environment then stepped in to say, look, we are concerned because obviously the conditions are not being met. We're going to issue a stop notice. Obviously, as contractor, we had to stop. And a meeting was called. The developer came down. They gave some commitments. And I think one of the critical issues then was the environmental officer. She was on the island. So this was sorted out. And then the stop notice was lifted, I think, 4 days later. And then during the, from May, June up till November, when the second stop, when the prohibition notice was issued, it was again issues regards to the implementation of some key areas like biodiversity, biosecurity, and some other aspects of the NOAA, which, as far as I could understand, it started off with ICS being the EIA, the EIA, but then after it was announced at the SONA that
It was announced by the president.
yeah, SONA, that SIF will be taken over. So we at IDC, we sort of waited because apparently there was some discussion happening with the developer and SIF. So all along we were waiting for the outcome for us to understand how it's going to be implemented, all the issues in there. Up until now.
Can I just stop you there, because this was one of the complaints of the developers yesterday. So they had received a quote from ICS for the biodiversity assessment, and then the executive stepped in, overstepped IDC and ICS, and directed them to SIF. Was that unusual?
I am not aware of I mean, I can't link the two. But all along, there was the issue of we had to implement the conditions of the NOAA. And
by NOAA, you mean the notice of acceptance?
Yeah. And all these issues were in there, mostly around protection of the environment.
That's not my question. My question is, all along, IDC had been the contractor.
Yes.
IDC had been advising the developer who to go to. So, for example, they went to ICS for the EIA. I'm trying to understand the role of the executive in terms of stepping in and announcing at SONA that no longer was ICS going to be doing the biodiversity assessment, but it was going to be SIF.
That I wouldn't be able to, I can't comment on this one. I don't know the reason why that was done.
So it was a surprise for you as well when you heard on SONA that SIF was being appointed as opposed to ICS?
Well, in a sense, to us at IDC, it was a change of sort of overseer of environmental issues. It was announced that it's going to be no more ICS, or not to be ICS, but SIF.
So you were not consulted? It was a fait accompli? It was just announced?
No, IDC wasn't consulted on who
Okay. So then they were told to go to SIF. So what happened as far as IDC is concerned?
At the meeting that Environment had called when they issued the first sub notice, then there was discussion about an MOU being signed between SIF and the developer. And that discussion, IDC was not privy to. We didn't know.
You were not invited to
Not
that?
at all, no, not at all. It was a discussion between them. The only thing that we were told is that there's going to be a tripartite agreement between SIF, IDC, and Ministry of Environment subsequent to that agreement being done. In a way, similar model that ICS has right now. We have an agreement with Environment, ICS, and IDC on all the other islands, so that there's a collaboration between the two to ensure that environmental issues are taken care of, or matters taken care of by. So it was the same thing, but up till now that hasn't been signed, and we were not sort of involved in a discussion between the developer and SIF at all.
So up to this stage, there's still no biodiversity assessment?
That's correct.
Another complaint from the Department of the Environment, and in fact planning as well, is the fact that one of the conditions for planning was that a jetty be built.
That's correct.
Has that been built?
No. We, I think the last time we had the submission for the jetty was only recently. All along, we've had no submission in regards to the jetty.
So
despite the fact that all along, in our meeting again, from various time to time, we tell them that, look, the jetty needs to be done. Because again, that would help regards to the unloading of the materials coming from Mahe.
So how are the materials from Mahe being brought to Assomption up till the time the stop notice happened?
Currently on barge, and some are beach, some of the barges are beach, some are just offloaded off the not far from the beach, right, at sea.
And that's the same beach which turtles come ashore to lay and where turtles are hatched,
Well, by the jetty. We do it by the jetty. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if that is the spot that turtle comes, although I've seen other turtle nesting on the along the beach.
Yeah.
But we do it by the jetty, which,
Okay.
from my understanding, apparently, it's a practice IDC does to sort of offload cargoes to the islands.
Just to give us an idea of the magnitude of this development, do you know in terms of tons of materials and how often those were coming to be unloaded and other materials then brought back to Mahe?
Well, we have the exact amount, which I can send it to you. I don't know, on top of my
Yeah.
mind right now. But normally, it's tide dependent on Assumption, as you know. So
Tide, but also weather-wise.
Exactly. So on average, we would have 3 or 4 barges per month when the weather's okay. But during the rough season, which is around August time, I think the best we could do was 2 landings.
Okay.
So that is. But I can get the exact amount for
And
you.
what's the tonnage of those barges?
I know between 350 tons to 400 tons. Yeah, barges.
And in terms of the return to Mahe, what materials are brought back to Mahe?
Normally, it would be if you have like some what do you call it, the waste materials that we cannot leave on the islands. Would have, but very little on the island.
Very
right now.
little.
Yeah.
So, in terms of the construction on the island, obviously workers were recruited.
Correct.
Was IDC in charge of that?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
The process for obviously employing workers for the island. We do the application to normal process and the employment. We have a list of requirements, advertised and everything, and then as and when approved, they're flown to the islands.
So how many GOPs did you obtain for the construction at
In
Assomption?
the EIA, we had 500 stated approval for 500, but at one point we had a bit above that 500. Although to date we have 384 on the island. That
How
is
many?
for us. 384 on the island.
384.
Yeah.
At the peak of the building, how many workers were on the island?
I think around 560, if I'm mistaken.
560.
Yeah.
Were all of those workers employed by IDC, or were some of them recruited by somebody else?
Recruited by working for UCC,
Okay.
the company.
So tell us who UCC are.
UCC is an arm of the overall company owned by the developer, and they are I think they are the construction arm of the developer.
And their workers were housed separately from the
That
workers
is
of
correct.
IDC.
That is correct.
Correct,
Yeah.
yeah. Are they still on the island?
Yes, there's 60 of them on the island right now.
How many?
60.
60.
Yeah.
But for the GOPs of all those workers, including those for UCC,
Yes. It was done through IDC.
it was done by
Yeah,
IDC.
yeah.
Okay. And for GICC?
No, GICC does the work on Mahe,
Only on
IDC
Mahe.
on the island, yes.
So Island Development
Does
Company
on
does
the
all the
outer
construction
islands.
on the outer
Yeah,
islands.
yeah.
GICC
My
only...
Planet Dig.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
So the stop notices have been issued now. And yesterday we were told in a testimony of Ocean Breeze that they were not responsible for the breaches to the environmental and social impact report, that you were the party that they had contracted to, and you were the people who should have been abiding by those regulations. What have you got to say about that?
Well, what I can say is that there's a list of conditions that was sent to the developer as part of the EIA process approval for the project to go ahead. And they are the developer, and I think it's their responsibility to make sure that that is done. So they cannot blame IDC for these things not being done.
When they contract to IDC, do you not see that as they subcontracting everything, including the planning conditions, everything that have to be met by the constructor of
then
the
I
development?
cannot complain. I cannot comment because I am not aware of the context of the agreement then.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have the civil contract with you.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. If you look at the civil contract,
Yes.
they had alerted us, and I asked them yesterday, and they again corroborated that in the allocation of tasks, the
Yes.
environmental
That's correct.
task was allocated to IDC.
I've seen that as well.
Yes.
I've seen that as well. But again, I don't understand why that isn't there. Because obviously it's their responsibility. And normally any developer that does that, not necessarily Assumption, all the projects, the developer is responsible for maintaining environmental conditions. So yeah, I've seen in the item 20 in this agreement that it is IDC's responsibility for environmental compliance.
And what do you say to that? Is IDC responsible for the environmental conditions being met?
As far as my experience, I don't think so. Yes, we work together with the developer, obviously, because we're a contractor and we're doing the projects for them as well. So, but I think it's their responsibility to make sure that all the environmental conditions are being met. And the fact that the approval was sent to them directly, they are responsible to make sure that they are basically the owner of that responsibility.
Some of the complaints that have been made, both by the NGOs and has been raised by the Environmental Department, is that some of the conditions that were imposed on the construction have not been met. For example, that the land had to be cleared by hand and heavy machinery was used. Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware it had to be by hand, but I don't see how that project could be done in 20 months if we clear this by hand. I mean, if I was the one signing that project, I would definitely say no.
It's a condition of planning, though, that all clearing should be done by hand. Were you aware of that?
No, I'm not aware.
All right. Also, that the blowholes and the holes should not be filled, and that they should be, in fact, screened. Were you aware of that?
The case that is.
Some of them have been filled.
Yeah, my understanding from the construction team is that to support the structure there, it had to be done the way we did it.
Thank you. Before the hotel itself started, I think it was before your time with IDC, you know that a runway was constructed.
That's correct, yes.
Okay, so you were not part of that process?
No, it was an extension of the existing runway.
Yes.
Yeah, that was
You
done. I
were
was
part.
not
When
at
you came,
all.
it was already
It was already
constructed.
done, yes.
And you don't know whether the conditions for the extension of that runway were met?
I mean, now I put my planning hat. As far as we are aware, it was a Class 2 EIA, and environmental gave the go-ahead for that, and that was done.
Okay,
Yeah.
and environment, for example, from the reports we've read and we've studied, there were supposed to be underpasses for the safe crossing of the runway by land tortoises, and that was not done.
I don't think there's an underpass there right now, so I don't think there's, no, it was not
Okay.
done, yeah.
Are you aware of any other incidents that occurred which were in breach of the environmental conditions? There were big highlights in the paper, for example, about tortoises being killed,
Yeah.
and that speed limits were not being met
Yeah.
by the machinery on the
Yeah.
island.
That was an unfortunate accident that happened once, and obviously we made sure that that was not repeated again. We had set sort of the rules of how these guys would drive on the islands. But otherwise, as far as we at IDC are aware, there were some, I think 3 or 4 visits during the construction stages where, as far as IDC is concerned, the conditions of the planning were met. And obviously, on a construction site, you always have issues that when the referral agencies would come, would make sure that, we had to improve upon. But the reports that I've seen, I think had 2 reports from the referral agencies. IDC had sort of basically abided by the conditions.
Another complaint that was made, and it was addressed yesterday by the planning authority. The planning authority said they gave permission, but I'll just raise it with you.
Yeah.
That there was an application for the extraction of sand.
Yes, that's correct.
You were part of the planning authority then.
At that time, yes.
And permission was given for sand to be extracted,
Yes.
to be sent to the FIFA World
Soccer.
Cup beach football.
That's correct, yes.
And one of the complaints from the NGOs is that no biodiversity assessment had ever been made So nobody knows what was disturbed in this extraction in terms of the flora or the fauna or anything. Have you any comment on that?
No, I'm not. I cannot comment on this one. But I'm not aware that had there been a study done. But yes, I'm aware that there was a request for 4,500 tons of sand, and approval was granted to extract that and bring it for the FIFA beach soccer.
Okay, and sand is also being used for construction
That's part of the work going on right now. Yes.
from the same dunes.
Yeah, from the St. June. That's
on
right.
the east side of the island.
That's right. On the east side of the
On
island.
the east side of
that's
the
right.
island.
Yeah,
And that is at the moment nothing is happening.
yeah. Everything's stopped. Everything's
Okay.
stopped.
So one of the complaints again of Ocean Breeze is that the workers are still in situ, and I believe they said yesterday it's costing them over $300,000 a day. Can you confirm that?
Well, I wouldn't know the exact amount, but I know they're hiring barges, and they don't come cheap. So I mean, if that's a figure that I've stated, I suppose it's correct.
So they're hiring barges to bring food and supplies.
The construction materials as well, because it's part of the agreement. They are the one responsible for the logistics from Mahe to carry materials from Mahe to the island.
So they're still transporting materials?
No, they're not. Everything is stopped.
Everything
But the barges are there.
The barges are on Mahe?
Yeah,
And they have materials also on Mahe, stuck in
that's
Mahe?
correct. Yes, that's correct.
And there are workers to be fed?
Yeah, we have the 384. They have the 60 on the island as well.
So these are still being fed by IDC,
That's correct.
who charges?
Oh, yeah, charge them back.
We also understand that I think Westia or Pestia have not been paid and have withdrawn their services.
Apparently, yes.
So is there any pest control or any
Well,
waste?
they were the only one doing it, so I suppose it's all is stopped right now. There's no pest control happening right now on the island, but there's no activities.
Yes, but there's still goods coming in. So
No, there's no good. Other than food,
Yeah.
there's nothing going
so
on
who's
the
in the
island.
biosecurity for that?
For with regards to Pestia, there's nobody. And we have only the environmental officer from SIF, which is Mr. Daniel Ozet. He's still on the island.
It's still on the
Yeah,
island?
yeah, he's on the island.
Okay. There was a point in time when, after the notice of assessment was given, and then the first stop notice was issued, that the question of an environmental officer being appointed was brought to the attention of the developers.
Yes,
And subsequently, somebody was appointed.
that's correct.
It's been brought to my attention that that person only lasted 2 weeks on
That's
the island.
correct. Yeah.
Do you know what happened? Can you tell us the circumstances of that?
No, he just came up, and I think 2 weeks later he wanted to come down. He didn't want to stay on the island.
And there was no environmental
In
officer?
between him and then the new one being appointed, Mr. Ozet, there was nobody.
Okay. Mr. Bonham, could you look through your documents and tell us if there's anything you want to bring to the attention of the Commission in respect of IDC?
No, other than what I've mentioned, stated, I don't think there's anything additional at this moment in time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we're stuck with a project which some say is 50% constructed. Other people say 30%. You said about 30%. What are the biggest concerns now?
Well, as I suppose as IDC as landlord of the place, I mean, you've been to the island, you've seen the what has been done right now. It'd be a shame to leave it as it is for the island. So the concern, obviously, is for Assomption itself, if the project is stopped altogether. But for IDC, we await whatever next step is happening for us to know what to do. But obviously, at this point in time, everything is stopped, so we have to.
What would have been the role of IDC if the construction had continued after the completion of the construction?
Ensuring that the utilities are properly delivered to the services, that is, sewage, water, and electricity, and then managing the island as well. And then on the other islands where we have resorts, we do provide a team to do some maintenance. As you know, you require maintenance on buildings. So just like we have on the ocean on Platte Island, so there'll be a team allocated to that as well. So we will be having activities that we have to support the hotel and the island itself in terms of maintenance.
The representatives from Ocean Breeze yesterday also commented on the fact that Seychelles' reputation would be tainted by what has happened, and that there are concerns for the tourism sector. Have you any comments on that?
Well, as an individual, I'd say that it's a, well, number one, regards to Seychelles being tainted, I think the reasons that the sort of notice have been issued is because some of the condition has not been implemented, and obviously the environment had to take a stance, and I think that is explicable. We can explain to that, right? But as a person, obviously, as an individual, obviously, I would say I wouldn't like Assumption to remain half-built, if you see what I'm saying. So yes, going forward, hopefully something is done so that the issue can be resolved going forward, and we can see whatever happens to the build to the project.
The planning authority this morning, not the planning authority, sorry, the Department of Environment, they said that when the outline planning had come, there was talk of an eco-resort, and they said that what was delivered in the end was not an eco-resort. It doesn't look like an eco-resort. It doesn't consist of an eco-resort, and that is really their main concern.
I mean, I can't comment on this one because I was not there at the initial stages to be part of the team that sort of negotiated what sort of development it would be, and why, if it was an eco-resort, then change what it is right now. I wouldn't be able to comment because I don't know.
You are aware that you had been in planning, that the plans changed, were amended several times.
In any development, you have that, but the sort of the bottom line always remains, if it is within the planning law, if it is in the context that the agencies looking after development will say, this can be done or this cannot be done. If that is okay, I suppose like I say, it happens in a lot of developments also that I've been in my past experience, where you would have somebody coming up with a project, with a concept, and then whilst they're being built, there's some tweaking, but obviously not massive, but it always within the planning law regulation, and obviously the referral agencies as well, be it health, be it environment, or the agencies as well.
When you were in position as CEO, do you recall any visits by the president then with Ram Kalawan to Assomption? Did you accompany him?
Yes, I did. There was a visit with the board, IDC board then, to the island, and for him to have an idea what the project and the different stage of the project that we were at the time.
Okay. The commission has been informed that visit took place the eve before the NOA was lifted. Sorry, the first prohibition notice was lifted.
I wouldn't know the exact date, but I can check the date for you. I wouldn't know the exact date. But I can check that for you.
That it was lifted and that there was pressure put at a subsequent meeting in State House, which was attended by the Planning Authority, the Minister of the Environment, and other people, and subsequantly the stop notice was lifted.
No, but I can get the dates for you, exact date.
You weren't at those meetings?
No, I don't think I was aware at that meeting that was sort of lifted. No, I'm not aware.
So but you were on that visit?
Definitely, yes.
On that
with the
visit.
board.
And what was the purpose of that meeting?
Basically, the new board wanted to have a sight of the projects going on, and then the president was going there. Some of the members came with the president. Some obviously couldn't come, but it was basically to visit the island and look at the status of the project that was being done.
We have also been informed that the president also visited the island with Mr. Bernard Georges. Are you aware of that? Was that facilitated by IDC?
I think it's on the same visit, no? That
it wasn't a separate visit?
No, I think he went there once with IDC.
Only once?
Yes. As far as I'm aware, the president went only once with IDC.
And was it at that visit that there was a decision to recite the Japanese restaurant?
There was discussion about reciting because when we went with planning in 2024, it was sort of put on one recited as opposed to what the developer had wanted, and then when we went second one with the president as well, and this is Mr. George was there as well. Then the decision was to take it back to the original side that had
In
been
what capacity
submitted.
was Mr. George there, wearing his hat as the leader of government business or as a member of SIF?
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
yeah.
you.
But he was still part of the SIF team.
It was,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Just bear with me. I'm just
No
checking
problem.
to see if we have everything.
Yeah, anytime.
Because of the two stop notices, it became quite clear to everyone that part of the reason for the breaches was because an environmental officer was not there to supervise the work. Is there ever any education of the workers, both for IDC and for UCC, in terms of the environmental sensitivity of Assomption? Do you know?
I wouldn't say an education, but the project manager on the island is aware, or setting that project is aware, and he interacts with the environmental officer, and is somebody who's been involved in island development project as well on Dawes. So he's very much aware of what environmental sort of impact regards to how the projects are done. So at that level. But I wouldn't say that the workers are given a training, but the project manager, head of project there, he's aware.
Yeah, because there were issues in some of the reports about the workers relieving themselves willy-nilly.
Again, like I said, when we have the referral agencies going to visit the site, they would look at these issues, like you have mobile toilets, make sure they have enough mobile toilets to cover the areas that we're working at. So these issues will come up, and we would address as well. Obviously, you have you saw the span of the project sites, and it wouldn't be easy to monitor exactly what they're doing. But where these sites were, we made sure that we had those mobile toilets to cater for these issues.
On the different visits carried out as well, other persons have reported that your manager, the construction manager, admitted to them that the clearing did not take place by hand, but took place by machinery, and that there was dumping in a zone which he was not supposed to be dumping them on. Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware of where they dump, but definitely clearing was done by machine. That's correct.
You also accept it was done by machinery?
Yes, correct, yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure that you've been given every opportunity
No, that's
to
great.
respond to
Yeah, yeah.
any of the allegations
Yes,
that were made
yes.
against the IDC.
Yeah.
You're happy enough that you've responded to all of these?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
At this point in time.
Okay. So can I ask you to formally, you sent us documents previously.
That's
Can I
correct.
ask you that you formally present these
I
and
did.
we admit them as COI 8?
Yeah.
We'll mark them.
Okay, no problem. I'll do
Thank you,
You're most
Mr.
welcome.
Bonlam. I think we have told you that today was about questions regarding the list, the sub-list, and the environmental issues.
That.
We are just letting you know that we may be calling you again
No
in
problem.
terms of other matters
No,
that
anytime.
have to do with the inquiry.
I'll oblige.
Thank
Anytime I'll come back. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
so
Thanks for your time as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it for this morning. The Commission of Inquiry is now adjourning until 1 p.m. this afternoon.
Yes. Okay. much. We should then and good deliberation for the rest of the day.
Thank you. So the microphone there was this one is ours. No, it's to this way. That's why we haven't called it. Yeah, yeah. I'll go and get you something to eat, okay?
The additional microphones are making both of the speakers pick up the people who are speaking. So it's creating on the online version. But then our no. But then the Zoom call, which is doing the transcription, can't hear if the Zoom and the Teams meeting microphones are off.
Only two will be open, only the rest will be closed.
All of the rest are closed.
Yeah, only the two that
But
we
right
are
now
using.
I've got a terrible
Yeah,
feedback.
because there's a lot of, all are open.
What's happening is microphones are open on both laptops. Yesterday we were sitting far enough away that they weren't picking up each other speaking.
Both closed, it could be an interference.
Now that we've got microphones that are micing the room, the
And we
microphone,
also have the mic on the laptop open.
but that's the one that we're using for the,
We